if there's any.
We're just crowding on this wonderful thing again. Are we on?
If there's any. There we go.
Totally opposite.
All right, guys, we're starting again. Another Facebook Live. Josh,
Welcome.
you on here?
Oh,
So hi, Iz. We're on Facebook Live. We just want to say thank you again for tuning in here, guys. I know that we're still doing this journey. We'll continue to do this journey, and we'll continue to be here on Sundays at 8 o'clock. And we've been able to reach out to a bunch of different people, right, guys, and just hear different people's stories. And we really want to connect with you guys. So that's our purpose, basically, to be here. Just to connect with you guys. I'm going to make it so that you're not looking at the whole entire wall.
there you go.
Tilt this down a little more. Is that what you're trying to do?
That's good.
Well, we definitely have the most professional Facebook Live setup, I'm sure, that has been done, but maybe not the most unprofessional at the same time.
Yeah, so we'll start for the three of you that are out there. I think we should just go and people can watch it at the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty. You guys want to start out?
Sure. So we just wanted to talk about our perspective of this grieving process that Shannon is going through. Oh. I'm getting a little tap.
Well, I mean, sorry, we're at different points along the way. You know, Josh and Shannon, Stacy and Josh, we are going through a very, very similar process or similar path, but Stacy and I walked it a little over 2 years ago, I guess coming up on 3 years ago in August. And it's been very unique for Stacy and I to be here, and it's felt weird at times because it's odd to be watching Josh and Shannon, their emotions, the roller coaster, the ups and the downs, and to be able to be here with them and observing that. One, it's all too familiar, that what Stacy and I went through and what we know is a real reality for everybody that goes through a loss like this. And it's a normal and natural pattern. And Stacy said earlier today, it's almost become, and it is for me as well, it's become almost a sacred experience to be able to watch and be with Josh and Shannon through this. So we wanted to Stacy and I wanted to just share some of our insight or some of our thoughts and experiences tonight, being where we're at versus where Josh and Shannon are at. Because it is weird watching. It's like I'm on the other side of the fence watching the same thing
that
happen.
we've already gone through. Yeah. So when we found out that what happened is I have a 10-month-old baby, and she sleeps through the night, but the night it was early in the morning on Friday or Thursday, April 9th, and she woke up, and so I went and got her, and then I got the text that Layla had passed. And I never hear texts at night in the middle of the night, so that was like a blessing that I was able to get that text, and then I was able to talk to my mom and just be present. But
And what happened with your baby, though? What happened in that?
Oh, yeah. And so I was just it took me back to when my daughter Lilli, just the emotions and the feelings, it took me back to all of that pain. And it was surreal, like Josh said, like we're not there, but we are, because we felt it before, and it's like that pain came back, and I was wailing like it was my own child, and I just was holding Grace and just so like in the depths of grief. And then after a while I took her in and nursed her, And she didn't really, usually she just latches right on, but she didn't really want to. And she just kind of was looking up and just babbling like crazy. Like, and she just did that for like a few minutes. And I just was like, they're here, aren't they? Lilli and Layla are here. And it was a really, really neat and just awesome experience. And after that happened, we weren't sure, Josh and I weren't sure if we were going to, we knew that Josh and I for sure would go to the funeral, but we didn't know if we were going to take our whole family. And then it just made sense because Josh's dental practice was mandatory. They had to close. It was already closed. So we're like, why not? You know, like this will probably help the kids just to have them be there and to play. And it really has, as we've been here and watched people serve them and love them, and we receive the same things. That's what I would want for my loved one, is to receive the love and the ministering and earthly angels that have come and helped them. And it's been so amazing to not only watch it, but feel it, to feel their love for someone that I love, for these two that I love so much. And it's been so neat to have at-home church and to feel the Spirit, because we've talked a lot about loss. We've talked about our testimonies of the atonement or of the plan of salvation. And the kids today, they got up and they were amazing. Just that they knew, you know, that they know that they'll see Layla again and Lilli again. And just, it's been so amazing to watch and just to feel of the Spirit and to be able to feel of these two precious angels in heaven. And it has been a privilege. I told them it's a privilege to walk through this with them. Like, and I told Josh, I was like, of course I'd never say, oh, I want this privilege, you know, but it is a privilege because we can mourn with them and we can have true empathy with them. And I know that grief looks different for everyone and everyone deals differently, but for us to have gone through it and to be there and try to, you know, sometimes you don't have words. Even if I have gone through it, sometimes I don't have the right words.
And she's even said to me, like, Shannon, I just don't know what to say. I'm like, you don't need to say anything. Just be here for me. Like, and I think that's the big thing too. Like, Stacy has been there during my hard times, and I seriously call her and I'm like, I don't even know how you're doing this. And she will just sit there and listen, or she'll say something that she may not even think is a big deal, but has been huge for me. And
I just pray that I can be in tune with the Spirit to know like when to call. Like, and I people have reached out to me, like her friend Shannon has Jensen has reached out to me when it barely happened, like, what can I do? And I just told her, you know what, people think that the littlest things like a pie is not like the dumbest thing. They don't know what to say. They think, oh, this is probably not going to make a difference. It makes the world of difference. like Josh said, food makes everything
Food
better.
always makes me feel better. I always feel better after food.
But even for me, like, I think about, there's so many things, but I think like I boxed the tomatoes. That was something so simple, and probably they're just like, well, I'm here and I'm buying this. I'll get one for Stacy. And I know these people that thought of like, and I've received little gifts or different things, but I know that they've been inspired. And so if you're wondering what you can do for those that are grieving, pray to know and pray to be inspired and to be in tune and when to do it, because I know that you will be inspired at the right time, at the right moment, when these two need it the most. And I know that's happened already.
Well, I think too, we're talking about people who are mourning right now, or people who don't know how to serve. So tons of you have reached out to me or even to others, like, I don't know how to help somebody, or I don't know how to serve someone. How about we just talk a little bit about a few things that have happened between us that like was small but meant tons, you know, because there's tons of people listening going, I don't even know how to serve a person who's lost a child, you know. For me, I'm gonna like just small little things. Like, I had somebody just bring over movies. Oh, my kids picked a bunch of movies that your kids can watch. Okay, that was really thoughtful, because it's just like movies that my kids do want to watch. There's been just notes that have come at the exact amount of time, exact time that I need it. My kids, their favorite thing every day is going to the mailbox and just opening up cards or gifts. I've received like pictures. Pictures are huge to me. If anyone knows me, but pictures of, you know, painted or just normal pictures, or it's just those little things, even cookies. I mean, these small things of plants just showing up at the doorway, and just words of people just reaching out to me and saying, I'm thinking about you today. And they don't know what else to say, but that's enough. And that's huge. What's something big that has helped you a lot? Like, just like felt loved by people?
Yeah, I had a buddy that lives in Canada, little Mark, and he just sent me my favorite licorice.
Full box of Canadian
I only
candy.
got 3 of them because the kids ate them all. But I actually, you had some of that too. But yeah, I remember that neighbor who sent us a box of cookies, and she said,
Oh, this
return.
is so sweet.
She basically
Oh,
said,
that's
when this is empty, return this to my house for the next couple months, and I'll fill it with anything you like.
And she's like, just tell us what you guys want, and I'll learn how to make them. And I was just like, who does that? Like, that is so sweet. Just something that you'd never think, right?
Yeah.
And I remember one time, and Lilli danced, and so I had driven by her dance studio through that, like, it was probably after a year of her passing, and I'd driven by it a couple times. It hadn't affected me. And then one time I was on my way to book club, and I passed it, and it's like this big, like, this wound in my heart just was like opened, and it just was felt just, I was like ugly crying the whole way there. It just hurt so bad. And oh my gosh, like after book club, the friend that was hosting it, she said, I have a gift for you. And I opened it, and it was a picture of a girl in a white tutu, like reaching out to Jesus. And I was like, how do you know? Like, this is so perfect. Like, I just couldn't even, and it was like that wound that had opened up again. It was like it healed over again. It was just, so just try to be in tune with what you can do.
One thing, how about that picture though of you, of your dad? His dad passed away when he was younger. It was of his dad, of Layla, and of Jesus, all united together. And the other one was of Layla, Lilli, and Jesus. I mean, just the things that people are thinking about, jewelry that says Layla's name on it. I mean, there's so many greatness. What are a few things that you love that just give people ideas how to serve others that are maybe mourning?
You know, I didn't realize this a few years ago, but you know, you hear when something happens, people will say, "Oh, you'll be in my prayers," or "I'll keep you in my prayers." And I honestly, I didn't really take that as much. It was kind of like a nice, kind of trite, kind of, "Oh yeah, thanks."
Nice
Good.
gesture.
That's a nice gesture. But I have a very, very different opinion of that now. And not everybody has the luxury of either giving tangible things or being in the proximity to give tangible things or whatever it might be. But without even the ability to describe, that is one of the first things that I want people to know, that if you do get on your knees and offer sincere prayers for people that you want extra blessings to come to, and you mention them by name, I know that in the miraculous orchestration of heaven, somehow that finds its way into the lives of those people that you're praying for. Stacy and I, over the last 2.5 years, we have been, and people said the same thing to Josh and Shannon recently, you guys are so strong. People have said that to us, and I tell them, it is a strength way beyond anything that I have ever done of my own accord. And I can tell you that I believe it's from the prayers of people that are still, I still get people almost 3 years later still tell me that they are thinking about us and that they're praying for us. And I tell them with a lot of energy now, keep praying, because I feel it. I do. I feel it. And I'm in some ways like, wow, what would the day be like when people are not praying for me anymore? Because I really feel lifted, and I feel inspired, and I feel so motivated to try my very best to answer those prayers, and also to just know that heaven does have power well beyond what we can see and what we can eat, which is important to me. Obviously, a lot of focus on our own food, but that would be one way, Shannon, that I think, to me,
Prayers are huge.
And I've been much more motivated myself personally, that if I tell somebody or if I find out from somebody that something hard they're dealing with, and I tell them that I'm going to pray for them, I try and pray for them in the way that I feel like and know that people have prayed for me. And it changes my approach to Heavenly Father when I think of them as they have thought of me.
And I have I've never literally felt prayers like I've felt them during this whole process. Like it's a literally lifting thing. It's amazing.
Prayers, we've had thousands of prayers on us, and we have felt them so much, don't you think, babe?
Oh, totally.
So one question I think you guys have shared with Stacy, and I think that would be valuable. What has it been like for you to have Stacy and I? What are some of the things to have us here directly with you? What?
Well, I think to start out, like many of you have commented that you don't have the support, like we have the support. And I think when I was just talking to Stacy, I mean, I'm blessed to have somebody that supports me so well as my sister, but I know it's not tangible for everyone. And when we say support, it can be a community or a church or one person, which I think is so important, because you may look at our life and say, well, you guys have so many people watching over you, guys are so lucky to have that. And truth of the matter is, this is so wonderful and everything, but God is the one that grounds us and helps us through all of this. But with my sister and my brother here, do you want to talk about a little bit about what they've done for us, and then I'll kind of chime in.
I think the main thing is just to share an example. I think everybody handles this differently. Even like when we speak, like we all have different personalities, you know. Like Josh's humor is way different than mine. Mine's funny, his is different, you know. So I mean, we're just different. And but like how we handle it is that there's always this core theme, and it's that like you can't do this on your own. I don't know how people do this on their own. This has been so hard. I had a gentleman just said, "You will always be broken. You know, you'll always be broken, but just don't be wounded." And that's so much to me, because wounded is someone that can't move forward. You know, that you're when you're wounded, you're on the ground, right? There's no action, there's no effort. Is just to heal at that moment, right? You can't do anything when you're wounded, but when you're broken, you can move forward. And it's not mean moving past this, just moving on towards something. And what you move on towards, I think, is the biggest thing that you can do, because some people move on towards things that are non-productive. They get into, you know, things that are destructive, you know, addictions, or they get isolated, where they isolate themselves from the world. And I think a lot of times what I've learned from this is that you can still move forward, and it doesn't mean you move fast. Maybe you're going to crawl, or maybe you're just rolling, but that you're just, you know, that you get up each day. And so that's why I think Josh has been the best. Where we obviously, this has been like a weird situation, but like the girls hang out and me and Josh go do yard work basically this whole time.
Hey, we're doing house stuff.
And you know, we're just talking as we're fixing stuff around the house. And but yeah, it's just doing something. And I think that perspective of moving on towards something has given me the best hope.
Yeah, I think for myself, if we really want to be real and raw, my favorite words, right, guys? The first week was pretty, like, really bad. Because it's like you have to wake up and go through it all over again. I mean, you think you're going to wake up to a baby crawling next to you and like being right next to you, then you realize that your reality is not that, and that your reality is that you do not have that little one. I know a lot of you have losses, and you can totally understand where I'm coming from, but it's a pain in your heart that can't be fixed, and there's no way to fix it. And so when I wake up in the morning, that's the hardest time of the day, I think, because you know, you wake up thinking, oh, Layla's going to be there. And when I hear their little baby, I'm like, oh, that's Layla. And I literally, even when I see her baby, I'm like, I call her Layla, just not even thinking twice about it, and then realize it's not the reality. And just touching her clothes is hard. And like looking at her things, and I keep her things around because I'm like, I want to remember it though. I don't want to remember Layla being here. And so I have certain things all around the house, pictures of her everywhere. And is it hard? It's totally hard to see those things, but at the same time, it's
We
so,
watch movies
every night. We sometimes can't sleep at night.
My wife, she took over 3,600
Crazy picture
photos of our child, and she was alive for 2 years. Yeah, I
Not
did the
even
math.
tears.
I did the math. It is
Mhm.
crazy. I used to tease my wife all the time. I'm like, babe, let's not take a photo. Let's actually live and not photo it. But those are like some of my greatest joys now, right? And so
I spend hours watching videos and stuff.
yeah,
But I think I have been angry. I have been mad. I have had to kind of like just roll around on the ground and be in a dark, dark spot. And I think with that, though, it allowed me to, because when I was younger, I would kind of have issues and kind of put them on top of each other, and everything would build. And lots of us women can relate, because then all of a sudden we burst and we explode, and then we let all of our emotions down, and then we act like everything's good again. For myself, though, my husband's taught me a lot about this, but like, to be able to move forward, you have to get whatever is irking you inside out. And maybe it wasn't the best way that I did it, but I did mourn and I did yell and I did get mad. But for me, it was almost like my sister gave me permission to do that, when I never thought that it was permission. But everyone grieves so differently. And I love that she said that, because I was, you did get mad at one time? Oh my goodness. Like, maybe I can get mad at things, and it was nice to know that, because I think some of you are like 20 years later and you're still feeling that madness. And it's okay to feel that way, but the thing is, you have to move on from it, and you can't stay there for a long time. That's like the best advice that she gave me, is you can't stay there for too long. You have to move on. Just like Josh has said to me too many times. And that's so important, because can you imagine if I did that every day? I'd be depressed. My kids would all be like struggling. I would be a mess. My husband probably wouldn't even want to be around me. But the thing is, my husband even says, Shannon, there's no timetable to this. You can mourn, you can be sad, you can do all these things. There's no timetable to any of this. And some of us have mourned for that long, and it's okay to mourn for that long, but just, it's so you get out of bed, take one step in front of another. And I feel better on the days that I do something, and I do something for others. That's been huge. But the days that I just kind of wallow in my own sadness, it's okay to do that. But at the same time, I like want to love my kids more and give more of myself to show Layla that I'm still the mom that I used to be,
And I think too, our bishop told Josh before we came out, he said, I want you to know that when people came and like brought you dinner or whatever they were doing, coming to your house after Lilli passed away, you didn't know it, but you ministered to those people. They would come into my office and they would say that they were somehow like healed or just ministered to, like helped in some way. We didn't know it. I was like in total grief. I don't even know what I said, but I have witnessed that exact same thing with Shannon and Josh.
Yeah.
On Saturday, we decided to go for a walk in their neighborhood, and we were just like, let's see good, do good, share good. So we just told the kids, pick up all the trash that you see, and then they were talking to a neighbor, and they're kind of getting deep in conversation. So Josh and I went and continued on and left them, and they didn't come back for a while. And they're like, sorry, we were talking to them, and this lady's going through a hard time. And then we talked to these other neighbors. I'm like, you guys are totally ministering like to these people, and you just think like you're talking to them and but you've kind of like you've helped them even though you're going through this hard time. I think that's really neat.
And it's different for everyone. Like I was teasing my wife through this whole experience. I feel like men and women mourn differently. I tease my wife. I feel like sometimes the outreach is kind of like a female-centered thing. My wife will be in bed and she'll have like hundreds of messages from all these people, and I'm just listening to her, and and I'm just like, babe, how do you know these people? She's just, well, I've been on Facebook, like, and for a while I was getting frustrated because I'm just like, I feel like she's getting all these people, but then I realized, but that's not how I cope with things. I've had like 10 close buddies that have reached out to me, and I told my wife one day, I'm like, do you know what? That's all I need. I just need the people that I know that are really close to me, and I've had long hours of conversation with them. And then as long as I have my wife, I feel like I can cope. But I feel like everybody handles things differently. And so, for guys out there, I just realized that, it's a different experience. What a girl goes through and a guy goes through is totally different, and it's okay. There's no one way or right way. I have some friends that reach out and they're just like, how's your wife doing? Because I think most guys just feel like, hey, you'll get over it. But the reality is it's been hard. It's been way hard on me. I pull over the side of the road and I cry, and I go through my own grief. And even though we grieve differently, there's people, we're all the same deep down inside, is that we're all struggling. But my struggle that I cope with, I always tell my wife, as long as I have you by my side, I can go through this. But when I thought that Shannon is in a deep, dark place and I can't reach her, that is why I'm so thankful for people reaching out to her. Because sometimes women have a way of speaking with other women. It's just they open up. They have the ability to as I say, have eternal pillow talk, which isn't always my cup of tea, but it's true. And so, I just want to say thank you for everyone that's reached out to my wife and to me, and to our family,
to our kids,
to our kids,
to
our brother and sister. We just feel so blessed. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if someone's going through this, or if you're going through this, please reach out, because sometimes people want to help, they just don't know how. And if you don't know how, just do anything. I have one story. I had a neighbor when I came back the day after Layla died, and he was mowing my lawn, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I just don't want you to come home to your lawn that was not mowed. And he's like, and I just thought, like, you know what? That's what he does for a living. And I thought of the little drummer boy, in the story of Christ, and we all have a little gift, and some of it we might not think it's big, but we just do what we can, and whatever that is. I had someone that came over and helped me with my pavers. I had a neighbor that came over, helped me with some the sprinkler systems. I mean, it doesn't matter what it's just that they came, and some just come over to talk. And
these guys do my dishes, and
they
they take care of my kids when I'm really.
So
they've been amazing.
So what I'm saying is, like, it's the effort. I love that term, that God loves effort. I think we just want to know that we're loved, and so it's just effort, whatever, how small or big it is, just a note, a letter. It's just the effort that counts. So I just want to say thank you for everyone that's reached out.
But not even just to us, but I hope this motivates you guys. If you're sitting there saying, I don't know how to help somebody else there's so many deaths going through, and there's so many sadnesses happening in the world right now. And I hope this gives you an idea of what to do for your friends, your family members, or something like that. Just do something instead of not doing anything at all. Because I always believed in service, but I never understood what doing service, just doing it and not asking how much more because I'm not a person to ask, but like now I'm going to serve differently because I've just learned a lot about what service is. And I hope this just gives you guys an idea of little things that really do make the difference in other people's lives.
I had a friend in high school, and she was so sweet, and I literally haven't talked to her forever. She just sent us a book. It's called Tear Soup.
Oh, if you have not read it,
like
tearjerker. Yes.
So little things like that was that was really beyond thoughtful. So.
Well, I think one of the things, I sit here and listen as a bystander, again, kind of like across the fence. One of the things that's a little almost uncomfortable for me is I hear Shannon talk about timelines. I hear Josh talk about, that this is still hard. Well, it's still hard. Like they're so fresh. This is so recent. This is so, and so my comments to them is that you've got a long road yet to travel, and that the feelings that you've had, those will be natural feelings to continue to have. I just the other night, as you guys know, I just had they come in times when you can least predict them, but I just had a breakdown, just a total time when my heart was just broken again for Lilli and broken for that situation. And that's normal. That's natural. I hope that I'm broken for the rest of my life, when I say that is I hope that I always can be in touch with those deep parts of my heart that feel tremendous love and that feel tremendous loss, because they motivate me. They remind me of what is most valuable to me. They help me get perspective that I don't have without that remembering. And one of the things that we want to do as the four of us, and certainly we want as many people as we can to join with us, to share in with us this journey, is we're going to do this every Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Obviously, it won't be the four of us crammed on this little bench each week, because we're going to go home. And
Tomorrow they leave.
as much as I'm regretting that I have to go home and then go back to work, but that's inevitable. But we hope to cover topics. We hope to cover service, for example, as one of the ways that's been helpful. We hope to talk about what maybe differences there may be for each of us as we grieve. Men and women might be different, but I can promise you that none of us are going to go through the same process, and that's okay. But we can all go through a shared process, and we always can. It doesn't mean we have to walk the same exact path to understand what hurt is. And so we're going to talk about what the grieving process might look like, and hopefully have people share with us. We want to talk about what support means and how valuable that is. And if you don't have that, maybe ways that we can help be that support for you. If you feel like you're somebody who doesn't have a network, we want to be that network. We want to be someone that you can reach out to in a very real way and feel connected to. Because I can tell you, we do, even though we don't know each of you as individuals personally, when we do reach out and get to know you, love fills our hearts, because we're amazed by you. We're amazed by the strength that you have and that you demonstrate in whatever that loss is for you. And this is dynamic. This is fluid. We're not professionals at this, but we
scripted it out.
But we're just doing real life. This is what we're doing, is real life. And so we're just trying to be real with you and be
We're not always going to say the right thing
yeah.
either. We're going to make mistakes too when we talk. So, but yeah.
So I'm just going to leave an invitation. So just like we did on Saturday, we went on a walk with Josh and Shannon, and Josh and I were just talking about, I don't know, a couple of days before or something, about, I told him how one of the things that in my life that I've done differently since Lilli died is I try and find little things that I can do every day that I can just do good. Sometimes people don't even know about it, and it's just my own person that knows about the good that I do. But I try and find something every day to do good or to do nice. And so we picked up trash and we went on this walk. So I want to just leave the invitation to anybody who watches this to find something that you can do. And maybe there are different things every day, but find something that you can do that's good, and pay attention to how you feel in your heart when you do that good. And then we would love to have people message us or send text, whatever you want, however we can communicate, and let us know about those experiences. And we'd love to share some of those next week when we meet.
Yeah.
And next week, do we have a specific topic?
It'll be at 8 o'clock. We don't know quite yet.
Okay. So
but if you have ideas of topics too, of things that you'd like to learn about, maybe that's something that we can do as well for you.
yeah,
so.
ideas of what you would like to hear about. Thank you.
Because
Thank
services, remember, service can be something so small as opening the door for someone. Maybe we don't do that during Corona, right? But maybe it's just waving or smiling and just sharing some kind of goodness, even when you don't feel like it. Like the other day, I was went for a walk by myself, and I was like, I didn't even feel like talking to anybody. I feel so bad. But the thing is just smiling even when you don't want to, and or just talking to somebody even when you don't want to. You know.
I remember one experience I had is I was like totally empty, had nothing to give because I was just hurting so bad. And Josh was like, we need to go visit this lady. I was like, I can't. Like, what am I going to sit there and just stare? Because I have nothing to offer. He's like, you will. I'm like, I can't do it. And I was seriously like crying, like all the way over there. He said, come on, you can do it. And so we went, and I was able to, give and to be present and to, I don't know if I made a difference, but it made a difference for me that even though I felt like I had nothing to give and I felt so empty and so hurt, it's amazing just how service can fill you up again.
And anybody
Totally.
who knows Stacy personally, just to have her in your presence, you're blessed. So
It's
that's
true.
one thing for
We love
sure
this
that I
girl.
know.
She's pretty amazing.
Anyways,
Thanks, you
Okay,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody
you.
who joined us. And feel free to ever share this with anyone who may benefit, just because we just want to share good. How we say our
See
slogan.
good,
See
do
good.
good, share good.
Yes, got that. Alrighty. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Bye-bye. Where's
the big red bar. No, the big red bar.